his hits in the early 70s, such as Hello, It's Me and I Saw the Light, to his later songs, including Can We Still Be Friends, Todd Rundgren has maintained parallel careers as a recording artist and a record producer. A rock and roll survivor, he has been described as a virtuoso musician, songwriter, producer, and engineer. Please welcome Todd Rundgren.
Hello, it's me.
I don't know, you expect a guy to walk out here with a beard, don't you?
Why?
A gray
He looks
beard.
great.
Well, I don't know.
Hair.
It seems with his background and his enormous career that he would, I don't know, I suppose not be as young as he is.
Well,
maybe the
he
music
probably
business.
started when he was a young teenager,
Maybe the
right?
music business is the fountain of life. Has it been?
Ah, yes, that's it. Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah, everybody knows that.
Yeah. You have produced some of the biggest acts, biggest personalities in the recording business. Now, Jackie wrote this book, Rockstar. Your perception, having been in it as a recording artist and then also producing, you haven't had an opportunity, I know, to read the book, but in terms of keeping your balance, you have a family. I mean, how does it all work if you really want to maintain some kind of level of sanity, I suppose, in that crazy world that we on the outside sort of assume it to be?
I think people get involved in the so-called lifestyle to whatever degree they want to take advantage of it. For me, it was I was involved very early on in a kind of a high-pitched effort to publicize a band that I was in when I was 19 years old. So I got kind of sick of the industry quickly and settled down to making music. But again, I think there are a lot of artists who realize that this is an image that you capitalize on. It's almost like vaudeville. I think that a lot of people, when they say rock music, they're really talking about just one facet of popular music, which is, I guess in this day and age, they call it heavy metal. Those are the people who can actually capitalize on the image of being wild and crazy. And
well, that goes back to what we were talking about in the first segment.
Yeah, well, they want to capitalize on that. They want people to say they're wild and crazy and all these girls are chasing them because it's good for the image, right?
Well,
that kind of particular group, for instance.
Yeah, you make money off of it, yeah.
Yeah.
But it can't be good for your health, for your frame of mind, can it?
So, well, some do it purely as a more or less dramatic pose. You know, a lot of people just sort of assume the role, and when they're off stage, they're as normal as a so-called normal person is.
You went the other way, though, completely. I mean, you shunned the limelight, if you will.
I have a sort of an insight, having worked on both sides of the console and having been closely associated with people in the industry. I don't really... I didn't get into it, I don't think, just solely for the recognition. I got into it because I wasn't I wasn't qualified to do much else. I didn't do well in school, and I had a natural talent as a musician, but also I eventually wanted to commit myself to music, more or less. I wanted to continue making it for as long as I could make a living at it.
That's great, because you got into it for the music, but a lot of guys got into it for the girls.
I don't know. Girls aren't the only reason to get into it.
No,
I think
but
that nobody
some guys
can live on girls. You know, they have to make a living at it somehow.
No, I think all the trappings that get people interested in any form of the entertainment business are just as relevant in the music business.
I think that there are a lot of people who have struggled along without recognition for years and years and years, and eventually get recognized and don't necessarily lead this high-profile lifestyle. Then again, there are other people who with the encouragement of managers and record companies, will burn themselves out for the benefit of the public. And so it's not really just an individual decision. Once you get involved in the industry, there are a lot of people pushing you to behave that way.
That's what I found so interesting. When I was writing the book Rockstar, I interviewed a lot of people extensively, and they're saying exactly what you said, that some of the managers and some of the record companies would push them much farther than they ever wanted to go.
Past the point where it's fun anymore, yes. But it's like anything else, you know. It's like it's the yuppie curse. You know, you get involved in a career, and
it has a life of its own.
Yeah, suddenly you are a slave to your job or whatever it might be.
Now, you took a different tack, Todd. You went into scoring, composition on a musical level, I suppose, on a professional musical level in terms of writing for television and films. What you did, Crime Story, Private Eye.
Yeah, I did a few
Pee-wee's
shows.
House.
Yeah. I was fortunate enough to have. Well, I'm fortunate enough, that my age and experience is an advantage at this point, because a lot of the people who are now at various influential positions in this industry and others kind of grew up with me, are familiar with my music, and are in a position to offer me opportunities, and that's how I got these opportunities. It's an old chestnut, but I think it's true that in many ways it's who you know. And I was fortunate enough to be remembered by some people who eventually were in a position to offer me this kind of work.
Tell me about the situation with Joe Papp. You're doing a musical play?
Yeah, it's actually, I haven't written the stage script for it. That was written by Joe Orton.
Yes.
And they approached me when they acquired the property and asked me if I was interested in writing music for it.
What's it called, Up Against It?
It's called Up Against It. It was originally written as a screenplay for the Beatles in 1966. And Brian Epstein died and Joe Orton died, so the property just kind of gathered dust for a while. And when they acquired it, I think one reason why they asked me was because I had done some sort of Beatle-esque parodies, and they weren't really aware of the fact that I was heavily influenced by show music when I was growing up. So when I actually got down to writing, it has nothing whatsoever to do with the Beatles from a musical standpoint.
Yeah.
It's much more, reflects more of my musical influences in terms of stage music, like Gilbert and Sullivan and Kurt Weill and Bertolt Brecht and Leonard Bernstein.
Yeah. Any idea in terms of a target date?
Well, we've had a first reading, and we're happy with the first act, but the second act needs some reworking. So
I don't know any play that doesn't.
yeah, so we're working on the second act. When we get that to our satisfaction, then things will probably proceed at a fairly fast
terrific.
clip.
Well, we look
so it should be
forward
this
to
year
it.
sometime.
Good. Our guest, Todd Rundgren.
A sane rock star,
Yes,
right?
and we look for Up Against
Well, I wouldn't
It.
say that. Yeah.
Thanks you again, Todd. When we return, we'll meet one of Hollywood's most entertaining raconteurs, who also just happens to be the executive producer of The Tonight Show.